mean, I know that he reviewed it, but there's specialized equipment in, aircraft recovery and firefighting that would be, I believe, would have to be purchased so that, who's picking up all these costs? That would be my question, and how that would impact the community.
We currently have jets there. He didn't mention that as a concern in his review,
Okay.
an additional concern.
Okay.
I know that.
So I just want to make sure that this tax burden.
I know that a number of years ago, we had an incident management system at the airport dealing with that type of an issue with the training activity.
The only other question that I have is that I wanted to ask that if there is a noise problem, like for instance, if a neighbor has a complaint about noise, what's the procedure that the airport has or that the township has?
I'm going to refer to the zoning officer on that one.
I don't have it memorized, but you do have to have someone specially go out there at different times of the day and measure the noise levels.
And who is that person though? Is that
It's an outside
We would have to
consultant.
hire an
You have to
agency to do
hire-
that.
And what she's referring to, we do have a noise nuisance ordinance, but there's strict regulations on how you measure that and the procedure that you have to follow.
The township would not have
And that-
equipment or personnel.
But that applies to everybody. That's not an airport regulation. That's anywhere in the
That's a general.
township official noise complaint. There is no special policy that we have in place for the airport at this point that I'm aware of.
Okay. I would like something addressed that would be, so that we know, like, hey, if there really is an issue or problem that, how's it going to be addressed? That, if residents have an issue or problem, what kind of backup does a resident have, that if there is an issue? The other thing that is, too, I wanted to find out, are there any operational flight control measures in place? And specifically, what I'm talking about is that are there currently restrictions on night flights at the airport? No.
I don't think so.
So that if we increase these jets, and these jets possibly could either take off or land 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So I would make a recommendation that.
Well, that was one of the suggestions was considering time of operation limitations.
Yeah, well, I would term it, that there are operational flight control measures in place, okay, specifically about current restrictions on night flights. So that they consider that.
So I can at least get a few hours.
I think you thought it was most annoying in the morning, right?
Otherwise, we
4 o'clock
buy
in the morning?
a case of sweet aids for the.
It's just some earplugs.
Yeah.
If I may, I understand these concerns and I certainly respect the concerns of the neighbors. But I do just want to reiterate, it is an airport use, and whether these hangars are there or not, there's still jets that can come in, not park their plane there and leave again. So whether or not the hangars are constructed or not, the jets still come in, during the day or at night, whatever times. This isn't a new airport use. These are storage for the planes. So, I just want to reiterate that this isn't, we're not necessarily bringing new jets in that don't already come in. Jets already do use the airport. In fact, we have people that ask about this because it is one of the better airports in the area. So, I just want to reiterate that because I'm listening to some of these concerns, and it's not as though the airport hasn't been there for years.
Yeah, and if that airport was basically staying the same, I think that just about everybody in this room wouldn't have a problem. Okay, but the thing of it is that it is changing and it is different, and there are different statistics that we need to look at, and I think it's grossly unfair that if jets can be coming in at 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock at night and disrupting the quality of life for the residents of the township. So we are definitely talking about something that's different. in my viewpoint.
And to that point, I've lived there for 25 years. I moved in knowing it was an airport. I moved in knowing exactly what type of airport it was. I drove around it, I looked at it. Okay, there was tie downs, there was no hangars when I moved in. So I know what I moved into. This, what you're proposing, okay, people aren't coming to this airport to a hotel. You're changing the whole viewpoint and what use this airport is used for. It's been used for many, many years by the small single-engine planes. They come in, they have fly-ins. There's been poker runs. It's all good stuff, right? A jet at 4:45 in the morning, every morning, come to my house for a little while. You'll get tired of it. Oh, and then Carson Helicopters comes around midnight, okay? So I get that rock at midnight, and then your plane goes up at 4:45. So it's about 4.5 hours of sleep, maybe.
Is that why you're cranky?
That might explain a lot, Sue.
Hey, Sue, live next to him.
Am I correct? These are like points that we're recommending, so that when it goes to the other stage, they can still like look at that and either approve it or reject it or whatever. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So then,
Yes, some of them we may not even have legal ability to.
Yeah. So I would like to see the flight, night flights, and restrictions, okay, put in there, and then you can certainly consider it at the next level. So.
Any more comments that you want to add?
No, I'll second what he said.
Is this-
Point of clarification though, we've listed a group of conditions/concerns, but the motion didn't really say whether you were
Making a motion.
for or against
Make
the conditional use application. And I guess you could phrase it in
For it. as
before
long
it
as
if those
these-
are adequately addressed to the township. Just so there's a clear
Yeah.
recommendation to the board.
That's fine. Is there a second to that?
I'll
kind
second that
Sort of motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I'm abstaining.
You're abstaining, you're a no. And you're an aye, I'm an aye.
You gotta go 4-1.
There's four.
So that's the conditional use portion of the
Discussion.
discussion. They have also requested that you take action on the preliminary plan. There's not an obligation that you make a motion tonight on the preliminary plan.
I think we should hold off on that.
Wait for the condition.
I second that motion.
Is that a motion? Did I
I
make a
don't know,
motion?
I don't know that we need a motion not to take action.
All right. Are there any other comments from the audience? Yes.
I will say I have flown into what's called John Wayne Airport out in California, and it's near homes and everything, and they do have laws, local laws passed, I believe, by the town in which the airport resides, that limits the time in the morning at when planes can take off and when they can land, because I had to arrange my connecting flights so that I would get to that airport by a certain time. So I hope you all have the same kind of control. I don't know who passed those rules for the airport, but it was definitely something I had to consider flying in and out of that airport.
One thing I could say to you, Sue, is the fact is that my daughter lives in LAX. She
Okay.
lives 4 miles from LAX. And I laid in my granddaughter's bed this December, and I could hear jets going off down there at all hours of the night. I mean, in a distance, but you can still hear it. Jets make a lot of noise. You can hear them all over the place. I'm just saying.
Well, they just wouldn't allow them to come in.
I mean, it's something we're fighting an issue that it happens. I mean, it's just,
Well, they come in and off the water too, don't they?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I could hear him, but I couldn't see him.
Uh-huh.